Precalculus video lecture number 7 on properties of functions. So remember, right now we're focusing on studying functions, their graphs, their properties. And if you'll remember, we can use the vertical line test to determine whether or not a graph represents the equation of a function. So the vertical line test tells us that a set of points in the xy plane is the graph of a function if and only if every vertical line intersects the graph in at most one point. Now, once we've determined that we are indeed working with a function, we can further determine whether or not the function is even or odd based on the following definition. So we say a function is even if f of negative x equals f of x, meaning when I substitute in negative x into the function, if the end result after simplifying gives me back the original f of x, then the function is even, and also it's symmetric with respect to the x-axis. Now, the terminology is no surprise. So we say it's even. Some examples of even functions: y equals x squared, y equals x to the fourth. All of these power functions with even exponents, y equals x to the sixth. Another famous even function you should know, y equals cosine of x. So all of these functions are symmetric with respect to the y-axis, meaning if you fold their graph along the y-axis, then you have a mirror image. And then a function is said to be odd if f of negative x equals, now notice this, negative f of x, so the opposite of the original function. And when you have an odd function, that means it's symmetric with respect to the origin. So what are some examples of odd functions? You guessed it, y equals x cubed, y equals x to the fifth, etc. And so is y equals sine x. Okay, and there's more trig functions that are even and odd. Actually, the only other main trig function that's even is secant x, and then the rest are odd. Now, remember, even function symmetric with respect to the y-axis, odd function symmetric with respect to the origin. Notice we don't talk about symmetry with respect to the x-axis, because if a graph is symmetric with respect to the x-axis, it's not a function. It would fail the vertical line test, right? Here's our x-axis. Say you have symmetry with respect to the x-axis, then it's not a function. So that's why these are the only two options right now. We're only dealing with functions. Okay, so without the graph right now, we're going to determine algebraically whether the function is even, odd, or neither. So first example, we have f of x equals 2x to the fourth minus x cubed. So to test, you just do one thing. You're going to replace x with negative x, clean up, and then see, do I get the same as the original, the opposite as the original, or neither? So this is going to be 2 times negative x to the fourth minus negative x cubed. And then just clean up now. So since that exponent's even, this is going to be positive 2x to the fourth. And then negative x raised to the third power, the negative's going to remain, but I have another negative sitting there, so this is plus x cubed. All right, what I can tell right off the bat is that this is not the same as the original. The original had minus x cubed, this had plus x cubed. So I can tell for sure it's not even, right? It's not the same as original f of x. Is it odd? What is the opposite of f of x, or negative f of x? Well, you would have to take the entire function and multiply it by negative 1, in which case it would become negative 2x to the fourth plus x cubed. Is that what we have? No, it's not. I'm so sorry. Look, in this case, then we needed a negative in front of the 2, and the 2x to the fourth did not change signs. So when you have an odd function, the entire function gets multiplied by a negative when you replace x with negative x, not just one term. So in this case, it's neither. All right. Moving on. Example B. We have f of x is the cube root of 2x squared plus 1. So remember, there's only one test here. You're just going to replace x with negative x. So f of negative x is the cube root of 2 times negative x in parentheses squared plus 1. All right, so when I square that negative x, it's just going to become positive x squared. So I have rad or cube root of 2x squared plus 1. And then now I look and I compare it. This is identical to the original f of x that I started with. So by definition, that means my function is even. That's it. All right, let's look at another example here. Example C, f of x equals 2x to the fourth minus 3. So again, you just replace x with negative x. So I have 2 times negative x to the fourth minus 3. Again, the exponent's even, so this is going to simplify to positive 2x to the fourth minus 3. Now compare this result with the original f of x, with what you started with. They're exactly the same, right? This is f of x. So by definition, what does that tell me? Yes, this function's even. Okay, one more. F of x is 2x over absolute value of x. So I'm going to replace x with negative x. So I have 2 times negative x over absolute value of negative x. All right, do you know how to simplify absolute value of negative x? Now be careful. So absolute value of negative x is negative 1 times x, right? In absolute value. And I can break that up into the product of the absolute value of negative 1 times the absolute value of x. And we know the absolute value of negative 1 is just 1, and then I have times the absolute value of x. So in the denominator, when I simplify absolute value of negative x, I just have absolute value of x. So the negative goes away, but you do have to keep the absolute value bars, okay? Those don't go away. And then in the numerator, I have a negative 2x. Okay, compare this with your original f of x. It's not exactly the same, so I know my function's not even. But notice this negative, we can move him around. Let's move it outside the quantity, 2x over absolute value of x. And notice, what is this right here in the parentheses? That is my original f of x. So this is equal to the opposite, or negative f of x. And by definition, what does that tell me f of x is? It's odd. Ooh. Okay, so sometimes when you're dealing with a rational expression, it can be a little more tricky to determine even or odd. So I'm linking up here a video where I do some more examples if you want to look at testing algebraically whether or not a function is even, odd, or neither. Okay? Good. Now let's move on to our next idea, increasing, decreasing constant. Now we say a function is increasing on an open interval I if for any choice of x1 and x2 in I, where x1 is less than x2, then the function values f of x1 is less than f of x2. Okay, don't just zone out when you read a definition in a math book, because if you're in pre-calc, it means you've got a lot of math ahead of you. So you have to learn how to dissect it, okay? So we've got this open interval I. Let me draw it out for you. I'll say I lives right here. Okay, here's my open interval. And then it says in the definition for any x1 less than x2. So I'll just put x1 here, x2 there. Then the function is said to be increasing so long as f of x1, the y value here, that's f of x1, is strictly less than f of x2. So f of x2 would have to be bigger, up there, higher. And then doesn't that make sense that the function is increasing? It has a positive slope. It's not necessarily linear, but it's sloping upwards. It's increasing. That's what that definition tells us. Okay, that's definition for increasing. Definition for decreasing. A function's decreasing on an open interval I if for any choice of x1 and x2 with x1 less than x2, we have, now the inequality is reversed, f of x1 is greater than f of x2. So that means, let's get rid of that so we can focus on new scenario. F of x1 is going to be greater than f of x2. Okay, and so we see that the function's decreasing. Lastly, we say a function is constant on an open interval if for all choices of x and I, the values of f of x are equal. So that means your function is a horizontal line, constant. All right. Now, some more terminology. A function f has a local maximum at c if there is an open interval in I containing c, so that for all x in this open interval, we have f of x is less than or equal to f of c. Okay, meaning, again, so you've got some open interval I, and it contains this point c, and all f of x's are less than or equal to f of c. So something like this. Here's c, and that's f of c. That's your local max. Okay, so basically there's a neighborhood of values on both sides of c where f of c is larger than them or equal to. And then similarly, a function f has a local min at c if there's an open interval I containing c, so that for all x in this open interval, then reverse the inequality. So f of x is greater than or equal to f of c, and we call f of c a local min value of f. So the y value is the local min value. Okay? Good. So for the next example, we're going to use the graph of the function to find the intervals on which the function is increasing, decreasing, or constant, and then find the numbers, if any, at which f has a local max and or min. What are the local max or min values? Okay, so here we go, step by step. When you're finding intervals of increase, decrease, or where the function's constant, always look at it from left to right, okay, in terms of increasing x. And if you want to imagine a little person walking on the graph from left to right, that can be helpful. Imagine they're going this way, this away, okay? So if I'm going to give the intervals on which the function is increasing, I want to talk about when the little person is walking uphill, okay? And if you'll remember from our definition, intervals of increase, decrease, and constant are always open intervals, so don't include the endpoints. All right, so where is the function increasing? When is the little person walking uphill? Well, it looks like on this portion of the graph, they're walking uphill, as well as this portion. So when you give intervals of increase, decrease, or constant, you give them in terms of x values. Increase already describes what the function, what the y value is doing. Increase means it's going up, okay? So don't include any y values in these intervals. You're just giving in terms of x coordinates, right? These intervals represent x values. Where in terms of x the function starts increasing. So we start at -4, don't include -4, up until 0, union, and then pick back up right here at +4 until infinity. That's increase. Okay, now where is the function decreasing? So when is the little person walking downhill? I'll highlight for you this piece and this piece, right? So, and make sure they make sense. They got to go from left to right. Decreasing from -infinity to -4, union 0 to 4. Beautiful. Okay, where is the function constant? Nowhere. I know, but still write it down, okay? So you show your instructor you thought about it, not that you're careless. Okay. Do we have a local max somewhere? Local max. Now, local max has to be a finite number, okay? Finite function value where it's the largest in an open interval. So I do see a local max. I see one right here. So the local max occurs at 0. Easiest thing is just to say f of 0 equals 2. Do we have a local min? I see 2 of them. Right here we have 0 and 0 again if x is -4 or 4. And that's totally fine to have more than one. So local min f of -4 is 0 and f of +4 is 0. Okay? You cannot have a local max or min of infinity. They have to be finite numbers. They have to be the largest or smallest function value in an open interval. Okay, what else are they asking for here? Last part says, what are the local max and or min values? So now they just want the y value, okay? So local max value is going to be 2, just the y coordinate part, okay? And then local min value, it's the same here. They're both 0. They could be different, okay? Very good. Very good. Now, let's look at another example. I don't love this graph. This is what we're going to do. Like, I would never put something this ambiguous on an exam for my students, okay? Let's put some arrows on this. That'll make it more exciting and clear. If there's no arrows, then you need to put a nice solid point on the end of the graph so that everybody knows what's going on. And then here's a peak. And there's a min, okay, just to make it clear. More readable. So here we go. Where is the graph increasing? Shall we draw a little person walking? What a trek they have right here, my goodness. And then they're walking a little bit more, walking here. This looks more comfortable. Always left to right, left to right. Okay, so where's the graph increasing? Where's this little person walking uphill? They've got quite a steep climb here and then uphill again here. So in interval notation, remember, give the x values where this is happening. That's from -infinity to -2 union 2 to infinity. Love it. Now, where is the graph decreasing? When is the little person walking downhill? Let's see, just on this little piece here in the middle. So decreasing from -2 to 2. Remember, these are all open intervals. Where is it constant? Again, nowhere. It's not flat anywhere. Okay, what about local max? Do we have one? Yes, I see it right there. So f of -2 is 4. What about a local min? I see it right here. F of 2 is 1. And then I'll just finish off the problem the same as the other one. So local max value is 4 and local min value is 1. And that's it. So that concludes this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And next on our topic list is library of functions and piecewise functions. Exciting stuff.